This is your place for all things Grand Rapids Griffins and all things Toledo Walleye. This is the Hockeytown West podcast with your host, Brandon Cook, Nick Harrington, and Travis Foch.
So Brandon bought a Cedar Point pass.
Yes, I did.
And I'm fully invested in this now. Like, I'm looking at getting the meal plan, the drink plan, the platinum pass, because I'm only a half hour away.
Yep.
So we're going to have to kidnap Brandon, Nick, and bring him down so he can use his pass.
I don't think it's kidnapping if I'm willing. Like, I want to go.
It's the only thing he wakes up early for. The only thing he's on time for is literally Cedar Point.
Or golf.
I'm not late to either of those.
I've caught you late to golf before.
Late is if I'm... did I make the tee time or not? Listen, I know there's the whole, you got to get there early. No, I will roll up, put shoes on, go hit the first ball. I don't care. I'm not a traditional golfer.
It was like an hour or two after.
No, that was the one time I went to the wrong course.
I don't think you were there at all.
No, that was the time I went to the wrong course because we planned on going to one and then they changed it the day before. But in my brain, even after acknowledging it, I was like, we're going to this one. And I show up there and they're like, you don't have a tee time. Oh, that's right. We changed courses. This one's 30 minutes away. I'll catch you guys in the back nine.
That's a classic Nick thing there.
I know. I felt like you that day, man.
For you to have a pass this year and you haven't used it, one, I'm disappointed. Two,
so I got the pass just a couple of weeks ago because you can use it for the rest of this year and all of next year. But now we're giving Cedar Point this free advertising for this, and they don't pay us. So I think we should move on from it and welcome everybody back to the Hockeytown West podcast, your source for everything Grand Rapids Griffins and Toledo Walleye hockey. I am one of your hosts, Brandon.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Travis.
And we have another Toledo-focused episode for you guys because obviously the Grand Rapids Griffins haven't made many announcements so far this offseason here. Not many changes happening over there. But, of course, the Walleye are announcing new players every single week. And we also have a fun interview for you guys, sitting down with former Toledo Walleye player and current Penn State assistant coach Andrew Sturtz. This one we cannot wait for you guys to listen to. We know how much of a fan favorite Sturtz he was, even for the short time he was in Toledo. But also getting to talk to a guy that's, coaching, as he says, a generational talent at Penn State this year. Tons of fun stuff in this interview. We cannot wait for you to listen to it. But before we jump into that, let's talk about the Walleye player signings. Travis, who have they signed and what do we got going so far?
Well, in the last few weeks, they've been pretty busy, right? With announcements. Obviously, most of them are probably done in advance, but you got Will Hillman coming back, Nathiel Wa, I'm going with, because
I would go with that.
That's probably French. Chad Hillebrand, Jordan Ernst, Kevin Gersoy, who was signed today, and then the big one coming back, Riley McCourt, coming back from overseas. So some names. Obviously, Will Hillman, small sample size. Excited to see what he can do over a full season. With Wa, he had a pretty good year in U Sports. Seems like they've really found the foothold in U Sports the last few years. You look at Wilms. A couple years ago, he was a U Sports guy, and there's another one that came with him.
McCallion?
I think it was Gilmore.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then Gersoy is also U Sports, so you got a few guys there. Listen, I don't know enough about U Sports to kind of judge what they are. I mean, if you look at their statistics, Waugh had 23 points in 30 games. Gersoy had 28 and 28, so he was a point per game player. So we'll see what they provide. The big one, I think, is obviously he's huge with Chad Hillebrand coming in. Relatively small sample size last year. 30 games played, only 8 points. But again, like, the fans want size. This is your guy with size. He's 6'4", so we'll see what he can provide. Seems like he's got some skill from what we've heard. So that's a huge piece with that. And then Jordan Ernst. I mean, this is a very interesting one. And it's different for the simple fact of that the way this roster is being built, right? Like you look at maybe when Watson was here, you got guys more geared towards the American League, and you're seeing guys graduate with the current regime from the SPHL, which is where Ernst is coming from. And he had a big year. He scored 37 goals last year. So if that can translate to the ECHL, like we've talked about where the goal is going to come from, that's a guy, right? And if he can, even if he can net 15 to 20, like that's a big piece there. And then Riley McCourt, I mean, 2 years ago, he was like the little wind up toy, the teeth that just go like this on the desk. That's like I feel like the best way to describe him, because his mouth just didn't stop running. And then there's Hawk's got his little brother back. So, but he's a very offensively gifted player. I would assume that's going to be your Jalen Smerrick replacement, I guess, because it doesn't seem like Smerrick's going to be back, at least from what we're seeing online. And again, we know nothing, but when you see a guy like that come in, that's a pretty fair assumption, I would feel like. So, yeah, 6 more guys. And, I still think goals are going to be interesting to see where they come from, but I think we've got maybe a little more clear path, especially if Ernst can find his scoring touch that he had in the SPHL.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out, but at the same time, there's no reason not to trust what Pat's doing. He's obviously built 2 good rosters in his time here so far, and you got to see how guys are going to translate. You don't know what they're going to do in this league until they step foot on the ice in this league, and they could shock you. You've seen guys come and go that like some guys were not meant to be on this team, and they weren't, and they left, and you've seen guys come in that you didn't expect a lot from, and holy crap, you look at Ambrosio for one example. We didn't know what to expect from him, and he surprised the heck out of us in the playoffs last year. So it's kind of just a wait and see what happens and trust the process in this, and wait and kind of just see how it shapes out through training camp. It's going to be interesting, but having Courtsy back will be fun. I think based on our first interview ever on this show with Brandon Hawkins, where you brought up Courtsy and it immediately was a funny clip. I think we might have to try to get those 2 on the show at the same time one of these days this season. I think that's the fans might need to see that.
I don't know if anything productive would come from that.
Well, it doesn't need to be productive. That's not what production doesn't get views and listens, Travis. Come on. It's the comedy, and that would be pure comedy.
Should mic him up for practice.
Oh, God.
Don't
Get the
give
bleep button ready.
Yeah.
No, it's going to be fun. Like, we're getting close, right? The season, as crazy as it sounds, it's just around the corner. I mean,
it's August, middle of August already.
This summer's flown by, but again, when you cover a team that plays into June, the summer does go fast. So I'm interested to see what happens. I'm excited. I'm getting more excited by the week. But I'm even more excited to transition just from this straight into this interview with Andrew Sturtz, because I know we're going to talk about it afterwards. We obviously pre-recorded this before we recorded this segment of the show, but this is a fun one. So we're going to throw it over to Sturtzy, and when we come back, we'll recap.
All right, today we're fired up to have a guy on who spent just 1 season in the Glass City but left a permanent mark as a fan favorite. He's got ties with both the Walleye and the Nittany Lions, and he's now shaping the next generation behind the bench at Penn State. Andrew Sturtz, welcome to the Hockeytown West podcast. How are you doing?
Great, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I mean, you think back to like recent years and guys that seemingly like became fan favorites, and you kind of jumped to the top of the list, so we had to get you on. And we're going to start with one that somebody kind of threw you under the bus, and it was a former teammate of yours. So when we interviewed Hawkins in person last year, he said we brought you up, and he said that you actually got a recruiting trip to Toledo, said you were coming here. We're in the crowd waving a white towel in the finals, only to sign in Orlando. So what happened?
So that's crazy. I did get the recruiting trip, and it was a great time. I came down. I believe you guys were in the playoffs at the time. You were playing Utah. So I came down. I got to see a game. John Albert was my host, and I got to watch Brendan Hawkins actually score 2 goals that didn't count, both of which he was so lazy to back check. He just put his stick in the air like this, got the ref to blow the whistle so he didn't have to back check. They ended up winning the game. I got to see Chevys and a few things around town. It was a great experience. But following into the off season, I missed a whole 2 years of hockey. I missed 600 days with a fully ruptured hamstring. And when I was making my decision, I made my decision based on if I got down to the start to training camp and it didn't work out and I couldn't play, where I'd be the most happy doing rehab, because my pro career was riddled with injuries. So I ended up making I made a poor decision in my decision-making process. I should have made it on where you're going to enjoy hockey the most, not where you're going to enjoy life if it doesn't work out. But I made a immature decision, and I ended up down in Orlando to start, which was great. Met some good guys down there. Matt Barnaby Jr. being one of them for sure. He was one of a kind guy from Buffalo, and Steve Alexi as well, who another friend of the Fish. He's a legend. You should have him on the podcast, not me. But ended up down there, and then halfway through the year, was lucky enough to get traded to Toledo. I think I got hurt my second game, missed 6 weeks, then came back, and it was a good run all the way to the finals, where at the end of the day, somebody in Idaho put a nail in my knee, and that was it. So it ended up working out thanks to Waddy. I know John Albert pushed on him a lot to get me, and Waddy still believed in me even after I turned them down, which I'll never forget now as a coach when I go and recruit players. Sometimes people make the wrong decisions, and Toledo is like a second home to me. And even though I was only there 5-6 months, it holds such a special place in my heart.
That first night out, like in Toledo after that recruiting trip, like anything that stuck out to you, like anywhere that you guys went, you said Chubby's, right?
I went to Chevy's. Yeah,
Chevy's.
Chevy's was good. It's honestly like, I don't know. I guess maybe you just think Toledo, Ohio, and you don't think it's going to be what it actually is. Like, it really was. It was an unreal town. Like, you get to the rink, the atmosphere blew me out of the water. Like, coming from Pagula, we get great fans here at Penn State, like unbelievable. And then you go to, I played in some teams in the American League and around the East Coast League where you don't get fans like that, or like you do here. So it was almost like a step down from an atmosphere standpoint. And then 6 years later, I ended up in Toledo. And I remember saying, I kind of just wished I ended up signing an entry level when I came out of college, but I was like, I wish I just signed like a 20 by 10,000 in Toledo and played there for 20 years like Hawk. Like, it was one of the best experiences of my life. And I think the atmosphere, the fans, like, you walk around town and Hawk's getting free lunches and passing out beers and doing his thing. So it's a really special place. And they treat their athletes between the Walleye and the Mud Hens. They treat them so good. It's such a special place to play hockey, and forever grateful.
And you clicked with the fans in the city like right away. Like, what was it about Toledo besides that? Like, was it the barn, like playing in that environment? Like, what made it click so easily for you?
I think the guys that I was with, like, there's when you end up playing on some rosters that aren't as close, and then you end up getting back to one that is as close as we were. Like, I could go down the list of names, but I would miss somebody and I'd feel terrible. But you play with all those guys that were on a roster that I'm sure you're going to ask me about a few of them at some point tonight. I think that's what made it so special. And that's what made me be my own person, like made me be the best version of me, which I'm pretty high octane, high energy. I played that way. I act that way in everything I do. And I think the guys that were on that roster really brought it out of me.
People always call like Toledo the NHL of the coast. Like, you got to see it kind of firsthand, obviously playing there, but like, why is it the NHL of the coast?
I mean, first off, first class, the way ownership treats the team and the city treats the team with the atmosphere, the rink, all of that, and the way they travel. They just do so many things better in that instance than anybody else. The next thing, for sure, the locker room, the facilities, the coaching staff. Like, it's a team with, you got 3-4 coaches and a video coach. Like, in teams in the East Coast League, some are coaching with one coach. Like, so it is very organized. Everybody has their own job to do. And it's because of what the city puts into it. It's just, it makes it so much easier to go there. And like, if you're at the end of your career, it still feels like you're in the American Hockey League, or it still feels like you're playing real legit hockey every night. It's dialed in. There's pre-scouts. Everything's ready, just like the American League. And they hold themselves to a high standard. I think that's why you see, how good Dan Watson's done in Grand Rapids and how good all of the coaches before him have done in the American Hockey League, in the National Hockey League, and so on. And it works because even for the players, they end up getting probably more call-ups than anybody throughout the season. And people take note of that. And so I think what they're doing as a whole is it's exceptional in the ECHL.
We hear that a lot, just like the professionalism, the like how everybody's just working hard. We just talked to Nick Vitucci last night, and he was just like, that guy at the top is working this hard. Everybody kind of wants to follow through and work just as hard as everybody else. So we definitely see it, and we hear it from a lot of the players too. Throughout your time there, like who was your ride or die teammate that guy that made going to the rink every day fun or going to work every day fun?
Well, there was a lot of them. Obviously, like it has to start with John Albert. He's such a special human being. He's a guy that actually during the COVID year, he got traded to Rapid City, and I was there at the time. And he got traded there, and I'll never forget this. Like first time I saw him, I knew when he got traded to us that he played in the NHL, and I'll give you a little funny story just to kick things off. But the first day I met him, like I couldn't believe it. I was like, man, this guy played in the NHL. He scored his first game in the NHL on a breakaway. Like I was watching the highlight, I was all jacked up to meet this guy, and I see him. And I'm like, there's no way your body looked like that when you played in the NHL. Like first thing I said to him. And he looks at me, no joke. Said it to him. I was like, hey, I was talking to somebody else in the room. I'm like, I gotta ask, like, if he looked like this in the NHL. And so I asked him, and he goes, oh yeah, I did. And I was just blown away. And ever since, for 3-4 months in Rapid City, we became the best of friends. Me, him, his girlfriend, now fiance, soon to be wife. We became best friends, and hence why I got the recruiting trip to Toledo years later. And then when I ended back up on the team, like he was the guy that so many guys rallied around. He was Big John. He was the nicest guy, the best leader, wanted the best for all of his buddies, didn't put himself first in anything he did. And he was a little bit of a role model to all of us younger guys. And not that we were young at the time, but we were younger than him. And he's a forever friend. So I think I have to start with him. And then, you get into the Conlon Keenans, Patty McGrath, like those two guys are two guys that I drove to the rink with every day. And I think you're seeing a lot of John Albert and Conlon Keenan now. He's a forever fish. He's a leader on the team. He's the Corey Perry of the ECHL. Like he's just five hard playoff runs. Like it's so special to have a guy like that on your team. Like I think if you ask anybody that's ever played for the Walleye, they're going to tell you like Keynes is a guy that you need on your team if you want to win. And I think he's so special. And then Patty McGrath's just a one-of-a-kind guy. And I could go down the list. Gordy Green, Thomas Eving. Gordy Meyer took me to Tony Packo's one day. That was an experience. But so many good guys. Forever grateful to play with all of them.
What about, like, I got a question about McGrath, like, because, like, the one year he came back and then only played the one game. Was he still around?
Yeah, he's still around. He just decided to move on a little bit later. He's doing great. The big joke with me and him, I don't answer every FaceTime he gets me on, which is like he calls me 30 times a day. And then anytime I call him, he answers in a second. So he always gives me, crap that I never pick up. I guess I'd be a terrible emergency contact, but he's doing great. He's back home working full time. He's still making us all laugh daily, and he's doing really well. So he just, he hit the end of the road for himself. But like I said, just another, you talk about the glue. I'll never forget one story with him. Like, we're in a deep playoff run, and, he's coming down in the room after, and he's the guy driving the bus in the room, like making sure we're all enjoying it, doing it for him, doing it for each other. And those guys are so hard to come by, and super, super grateful I know he probably might have not been at the time, but the fact that he got traded to GR, sent down, first day I met him was in the locker room in Kalamazoo. I'll never forget it. And I had buddies that played with him in the American Hockey League, and he's another one. He's a forever friend, and really fortunate that trade happened and we got to spend those 5 months together.
We've heard like from players that you still swing back through time to time. Like what brings you back to town?
Yeah, so obviously with the U.S. National Development Team playing out of Plymouth, like I'll make some drives over there for their games in the USHL, or I drove to Muskegon for a couple games in the USHL, and now with the Ontario Hockey League and CHL opening up for us to recruit, sometimes you're driving through Sarnia, Windsor, all those places. So sometimes the most convenient, if I have a game if I'm watching a game in Muskegon at 7:00, finishes around 10, the most convenient place to stop on the way back to State College is about 2.5, 3 hours to T-Town and stay at the Renaissance, or, stay on my boy Keynes' couch. So it actually, I'm a really big, my friends are everything to me. I think you'll see that in my personality. Like, obviously you talk about the fans, but my friends are legit everything to me. And if there's ever a chance, like I can even just pop in and grab lunch with a guy I played with on the road instead of eating alone, like I'll try to do it because I know how valuable, you don't get to see, as you keep getting older, you don't get to see people as many times as you think you're gonna. So any chance you get to spend 30 minutes with a guy that is close to you, you better take it. So I always stop in whenever I can. I haven't been back to see a game yet. I've tried 2 years in a row, but it hasn't worked out. Hopefully in the next couple, the Kelly Cup run, when you guys are in the final, ready to close it out. Hopefully that's the one I get to.
You brought up Conlon Keenan a ton, obviously, and what a leader he is in that room. We've heard just from so many guys, like, when they first get to the team, he's the first guy to text them, like, to get them set up, make sure they're good. Like, what about him as a person and a player just makes him so special?
Well, as a person first, I think it's just his heart. Like he just, I'm telling you, I don't know if there's a person who genuinely cares more about everybody than he does. He's a guy you can trust with anything. He's a guy that you need a shoulder to lean on. He's there. He's a guy you need him to make you laugh and pick you up. He can do it. He can just do so many different things that are so special. But the big thing is like trust. Like he's just such a great dude. And I think that's what sets him apart as a person. Very empathetic. Like I could go on for hours talking about how great this guy is. Like there's very few guys that you would say, oh, I would love for that guy to date my sister. He's the guy. Like he is the guy. If you ask me on that team, there's one. It's him. So that shows you like what he really is. He is a fantastic human being. He was so well raised. He's grinded. He didn't have the traditional path to this career he's having, playing D3 and then becoming a big time leader, captain on, I'm biased, the best organization in the ECHL. Like he is so special. And I think the way he was raised, what he learned at Geneseo through his coaching staff there, who are great people, and on to Waddy and the rest of the staff at Toledo, I think he's just done such a good job. And as a player, I think in a world where everybody needs to be the skill guy or the guy that scores all the goals or the guy that shows up on the stat sheet every night, I think he's willing to do so many different things that other guys aren't. And those are the things that drive you to make sure you're in, the Western Conference Final or the ECHL Final every year.
And then obviously for you, like you've mentioned, you're high energy. You like to, the fans love you for a reason. Like what made you become that type of player? Like what drove you to be like that?
Well, I'd probably say this. I've always been small. When I was younger, a little chunkier. Now I'm getting back to a little chunkier, unfortunately, now that I'm retired. But I would just say, like, I knew I wasn't skilled enough to be a high level, just skilled perimeter player. And so as I grew through junior B, junior A, I knew I had to work really hard, get to the net, draw penalties, and just kind of be a rat. And I did that. And then I started scoring a lot just by, playing with the right players and in the right teams and in the right systems. And if you go to the net enough with your stick on the ice, and you're tough enough to soak some cross checks, they might start to fall. And through junior hockey and college, they fell. And then when I got to the American Hockey League, I knew my role had to change, and I became a 8 to 10 minute a night when I was playing, energy guy, PK guy, and that was great. Injuries happened. And then when I got to the coast, actually my first stint in the coast, I tried to be a skill guy, and that didn't work because the league's too good. You can't just – the East Coast League is too high level of hockey that if you're just a depth guy in the American League, you can't just come down and then be Patrick Kane in the East Coast League. It just doesn't work like that. There's other very, very talented hockey players in that league. So my first stint down on the coast, I tried to be something I wasn't. It didn't work. And then as I got going in the COVID year in Rapid City and then on to Toledo later on, I got my American League identity back. And then I started doing a little bit of both, having a hybrid year of, I scored, but I'd also draw a ton of penalties. I'd sucker guys into some stupid stuff and wasn't a power play guy, but that's when I got to watch Hawk go to work and buzz one by a guy's ear 6 times. Poor Trenton Bliss, man. Poor Trenton Bliss. I would not sign up for that job. Not for that money. Nope. Not for that money.
He was so good at it for the few years he was here too.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, with Hawk, the problem with Hawk is we'd have to practice at 5-on-2 in practice in these small areas, right? So if you weren't on the power play with Hawk, he's just whistling them by your ears. Another good story. Since Hawk gave you one on me right away, I mean, we got to talk about Hawk.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And he's what people want to hear about. So he's buzzing them by guys' ears, and it's got to be March or April. We're in the playoffs, and we're power play is getting ready. Hawk's shooting the puck. We know what the power play is. Hawk's shooting the puck. Nobody needs to get hit with it in practice and 5-on-2 drill. And we're out there trying not to get hit, right? And Blisser just takes one right in the wheres, and it was just this poor guy. He's not making enough for this. So good story about Hawk and Bliss. I had to give it to you.
Hopefully Hawk hooked him up with some free beers, some free lunches throughout the city tour,
He just hooked him up with 45 assists. There's no free lunches with Hawk.
Fair enough.
Oh, and every hockey journey, it comes to that crossroads where it's the moment where is it the moment where you just know it's time to move on for something, or was it kind of just gradual for you?
Yeah, no, it's actually funny. Like I said, the first 5 years of my pro career, tons of injuries. Then I ended up missing the 600 days. Then I go back. I get in a not the best situation in Orlando. It just didn't work out, which it happens. Totally get it. It's a business. And when I got traded to Toledo, it was all right, one last shot at life. And I was actually planning on maybe playing longer. I got hurt right away, and then I had the 4.5 months with I'm telling you, outside of college, it was the best group of 26 guys that I've ever played with. And in pro hockey, that's so hard because it's so cutthroat, and everybody's fighting to stay on the team, and everybody's fighting to stay in the lineup. So you don't get that all the time. Usually you got 6 guys here, 8 guys there. It's very cliquey. And when I got to Toledo, it wasn't like that. It was I felt like I was in college again playing with these guys. I was this is the best group of people that you could play with. And we were having so much fun. And then we rattle off the 18-game heater. And we got, I remember games 15, 16, 17, maybe 14. We're playing with 8 forwards. The big joke was McGrath one night. He played 0 minutes in Wheeling. And then the next night he played 24. And he was what's going on here? So it was so special, and we had so many laughs together and so many good times throughout that 18-game stretch that I think it just brought us so close together. We thought we were going to set the record, and then GR calls up Bliss, Warad, Vero, all these guys, and we're left with 12 cats, and we're all who's going to score the goals? So we had so many special times, and then kind of before the playoff run, I made the decision that I was probably going to be done. And the reason being was because I just didn't think you could replicate a group of guys like that again. Like I said, if I couldn't get back up to the American League, like my goal was always to play in the NHL or at the highest league possible. That was my goal. I didn't want to just keep playing to keep playing. I wanted to be the best in whatever I do, whether it's playing or now coaching. I wanted to be at the top of the mountain in whatever league I choose to be in. That was important to me. So when I realized that year I didn't get called back up, and I was 26 at the time, I knew time was probably running out. And then you go in the playoff run, you get hurt. And that was the icing on the cake for me. Once I got hurt, I was like, you know what, I got to be done. And then thankfully the NCAA opened up these third assistant jobs for colleges. And it was the perfect time for me to step into a new role. And I'll tell you what, my body is very thankful. There are days I miss. There are days I miss the dressing room, but thankfully I'm here coaching at a place I love, and sometimes the guys include me in a little bit of the banter. They chirp me all the time, so it makes me feel a little young sometimes, and it's I still get to be involved in the game in some way and impact games. So I have a blast in my new profession.
I want to transition a little bit to Penn State. So you played there as a player, had a great career there. Like what sold you there in the first place? Like how did you end up at Penn State?
So it's funny. I had a non-traditional recruiting path. I was not a very talented hockey player 14, 15, 16, 17. I played junior B hockey for 3-4 years, from 15, 16, 17, 18. And then I was honestly going to be done. I was working full-time for my old man, hanging window treatments. I was going around all of New York State hanging drapes, window shades in homes, businesses, banks. One summer, spent the whole summer at Cornell. Like I'm walking around Cornell in a hard hat and work boots with drapes hanging over my shoulders. And I'm like, man, if I was just a little bit better at hockey, like I wouldn't be doing this. Okay. And that summer, my 18-year-old summer, I got a call from Jason Clark in the CCHL. He coached Carleton Place Canadians, and he asked me to come to the Chowder Cup with him. And I went, and he told me at the end of the tournament, he's like, hey, if you want to play in Carleton Place, play 1 year at junior A, like I'd love to have you. So I talked to my dad, and he was like, yeah, if you want to do 1 year at junior A and then be done, I'll let you do that. So I went and played junior A for him. And that year we went to the RBC Cup final, ended up winning Canadian Junior Hockey League Player of the Year. So for Tier 2 junior, not CHL. And in that year, I got my first college offer from a smaller school. And then fast forward, probably a month and a half later, I got a call from Penn State. And the assistant coach, I'll never forget it. I had 4 teeth blown out of my mouth because I took a cross check. So teeth were blown out of my mouth probably in December. And then in February, I got this they basically just plugged everything and said they'd fix the teeth at the end of the season. Well, they plugged an infection in there. So then one morning I woke up and my whole face was blown up. My billet mom didn't even recognize me. Okay. So at the time, my high school girlfriend, after 8 days in the hospital, her and her mom came up and got me, and my parents met them in Syracuse. And I was like, no, don't come get me. I'll be fine. They came and got me. Long story short, I get a call while my face is blown up. I barely know who I am. I get a call, and it's Matt Lindsay from Penn State. And I'm like, who? And he's like, Matt Lindsay, coach Penn State. And I was like, honestly thought it was a prank phone call.
Yeah.
I ruled out. I was like, Dad, I might get to go Division I to a small school, or I might get to go to a top D3 school. This is incredible. Platts, I was talking to Plattsburgh. I was super pumped about it. Penn State calls, and I was like, all right. So I'm on the phone. I told my dad when I got to the hospital in Syracuse, I was like, Penn State called. They want me to come visit. And I don't even know if he believed it at the time, but fast forward, I get to the hospital. They run CT scans, and they basically tell me this infection was X amount of centimeters or whatever away from your brain. It's a very good thing you got here. I know the way I'm talking, I'm probably all over the place, but this really happened, and I'm very thankful that person came and got me. And then me and my dad, we go home. We end up getting some clothes. We come down to Penn State. We watch them play number one team in the country, Minnesota at the time. And I'll never forget, I sat on the red line, watched the game. We weren't even through warm-ups, and I looked at my dad and I said, Dad, I don't care if they tell me I have to pay every cent. This is where I'm going. If they tell me I can come here, this is where I'm going to school. The next day I met with Coach Kadowski and the rest of the staff and did a tour of the rink. They offered me. I went to TGI Fridays with my dad. I texted Gads probably before I got my appetizer platter and said, hey, I'm going to come to the game tomorrow, and I'm coming here whenever you let me. And came to the game the next night, and then went back to Carleton Place, played the rest of the year, went to the RBC Cup. Then the next year played in Carleton Place again, went to the RBC Cup final again, lost both, and then came to Penn State. So that's how it happened. It was a wild story. And like I had to do, my 20-year-old year, I had to take 11 college classes because I wasn't good in high school. Took 11 college courses and transferred in, got to go to Penn State for 3 years and then signed an NHL deal. So really special recruiting story. And when Matt Lindsay recruited me, he was actually there to watch a goalie. I forgot this part. But yeah, he was there to watch the opposing team's goalie. And he goes, you stood in front of him the whole game. I had to call you. So when you ask me about how I scored, it's funny. He was there to watch the goalie, and that goalie was later traded to us, and he led us to the RBC Cup final. But Matt Lindsay was like, the way this guy goes to the net, he liked me, and it ended up really working out. And it was honestly the easiest and the best decision I ever made was to go to Penn State.
That's insane. You see, kids, keep your stick on the ice, go to the net, and crazy stuff happens. Not just goals, apparently.
Exactly.
Holy.
Might lose a couple teeth,
Yeah.
but it could be worth it.
It almost died.
Yeah, right. Is there a game, a goal, or even a locker room story that you think back to your time playing at Penn State that still, like to this day, you just think about it, makes you smile?
Yeah, I think it's for sure Liam Folks. He scored the game-winning goal against Wisconsin for us to win the Big Ten tournament. It'd be him or Eric Audio scoring the game winner against Minnesota in the semifinals. So our freshman year when we got here, we weren't supposed to win a game in the Big Ten. We were still so new. We still had, the year before 2 years before the year before I got here, we still had club players on the team. And then when I got there, we were still supposed to get killed. And our team, my freshman year, we ended up winning, I think like 19 or 20 games. We lost to Michigan in the semifinal. Kyle Connor dropped 4 on us pretty quickly. But it was a great team, great group of guys. My sophomore year, Liam Folks and Eric Audio, why I picked their goals and not one of mine, we ended up having a really good team. We went on a run in the Big Ten tournament, and if we won the semifinal game, that would be our first ever berth to the NCAA tournament. We went to double over. Our flight got canceled, so we fly pretty nicely here, I will just say. We fly very nicely here. And the Big Ten tournament, there was a snowstorm, so we couldn't get out. So we waited and waited and waited, and then we had to bus. We left here we left Pagula at like 9 o'clock at night. We bussed till like 2 a.m. and got to Detroit because the Big Ten tournament was at Joe Louis Arena. It was the last tournament in Joe Louis Arena. So we get there at 2 a.m. We play Michigan on Friday. We win that one. And then Saturday we play Minnesota, who's beaten us 4 times that year, I believe. And if we beat them, we would clinch an at-large bid to the NCAA tournament. And it was a great game. I think they had 8 NHL drafted defensemen on their team. And I think we might have had 2, maybe 1 or 2 NHL picks in the lineup. And it went to double overtime. Eric Audio scored on a goal off a nice pass from Dennis Smirnov, and that clinched our first NCAA tournament berth. Then the next night, we play Wisconsin in the championship game. And obviously that would be the first Big Ten championship in only a short few years of program existence. And we go to double overtime again, and Liam Folks gets a breakaway and finishes it. And, I just remember the pure joy of really feeling like we accomplished something here. We were a bunch of kids who chose Penn State instead of other universities, not because we knew we'd come here and win right away, but because we knew that we'd be a part of building a program so that way the next generation of players could come here, could go to the NHL, could win national championships. And now, right now, I'm fortunate enough to be back here as a coach, and I think we're really starting to see what's coming. We went to the Frozen Four last season. We're really starting to get some good recruits here as of late, and I think the players on our current roster that took us to the Frozen Four are a huge. They deserve a huge pat on the back because they're the reason they took us to that next level now, and it's everything us old alumni and the club players that came before us that really built this program. It's everything we all wanted, and we're just so happy to see where it's going.
Talk about the shift from player to coach. How did it come to be? Was it a light bulb moment, or did it just feel like a natural progression?
No, it was a natural progression, actually. It was something that I talked about with Coach Gudowski when I was finishing my playing days here and I was stepping into pro. I knew it was something I always wanted to do when I was done. I didn't think I would be done as quick as I was, but unfortunately stuff happens and you got to be ready for it. But even while I was playing pro hockey, I was running skill skates for college guys and pro guys in the summer. So I was really I really enjoyed doing it. Even through my playing days. And it wasn't like I wasn't even charging guys. I was just like, I'll skate with you, but I'll have the whole skate planned out. You guys just have to show up. We got to pay for the ice and we'll get a great skate in and we'll, we won't just go play 3-on-3 all day. We'll try to do some stuff. And I thought it helped me grow as a coach. And then as my time in Toledo was ending and the NCAA added the third assistant coach, even before when I missed those 600 days, I was reaching out about becoming the volunteer assistant here. But I needed to know I was done first. I think if you get into coaching too early and you're not actually fully removed as a player, or you still think you can play, you can't fully be as good of a coach as you want to be. I think you have to be fully out of whatever you were doing first to move on to the next thing. And I'm really thankful I didn't do the volunteer job. And I grinded those 600 days out, and I got that last year in Toledo because then once I was with that group of people and I realized I left it all on the table and I drew as many penalties as I could and I scored as many goals as I could, I realized okay, I'm ready to step away. And then I applied for the job, went through the interview process and was fortunate enough to get it. But I think it all fell into place the way it was supposed to. And I got to see my career out the way I wanted to without making it to the NHL. And I can hang my hat on the way I went out.
During those 600 days, did you lean on like Coach Watson at all or any of the coaches of just kind of where your head at? Was that hey, this is kind of my next plan, maybe the volunteer coaching? Did they give you any advice as you were going through and what did they tell you?
Yeah, so during I didn't have Waddy so much just because in that 600 days I wasn't Toledo property, so I was still trying to figure out I was talking to a lot of different ECHL teams, and I will say this, I leaned on a couple old strength coaches that I had and a couple athletic trainers like Justin Rogers from Penn State, my strength coach who's now with the Ottawa Senators, Jeremy Benoit, guys like him, a person at home, Trevor Taggart, he was my athletic trainer and strength coach back in Buffalo. Those were people that I leaned on a ton in the athletic field. I'm trying to get my body right, trying to get back to play, just doing whatever it took. So those were the people I really leaned on. And then once the, process started for me to try and pick what coach team I would play with the next season, obviously, you just talk to the coaches and I made the decisions I made, but those three people really helped me through the grind of trying to rehab the hamstring and getting back to 100% to play. And I couldn't have done it without them. It was an all out war, and it was fun to work with them though.
I want to go back to Penn State. Oh, go ahead, Brandon.
No, you're good.
Oh, so Pagula, the ice arena. What is the difference now than when you played? And is there anything now you wish you had when you played?
Honestly, it's always been exceptional. That's the one thing that hasn't changed. we have always had the number one attendance capacity in the country. Like, we have always had the most rocking student section in the country. And when Terry built this place, that was one of the main things he wanted. And that the student section is as steep as code will allow in the state of Pennsylvania. So the fans are right on top of the opposing goalie. And there's nothing I would change about the way Terry and his crew decided to build this place. It is so special. And if you haven't seen a game here, you have to. Like, videos don't do it justice. Like, there is nothing in the world, in the hockey world, that is like being in Pagula when a goal is scored, especially in college hockey. It's so special. Obviously, the NHL is a league of its own, but in college hockey, there is nothing as cool as being in our rink when we get one, and then we get two, and then the snowball starts rolling. And there was one last year, like just coaching, like we scored a couple on Minnesota back to back, and it was like you really just feel like the rink just takes over the game, and it gives our players so much energy, and it's so special to be a part of it as a player, as a coach, as a fan. I hope I stay a coach, and I love being a coach here. But no matter what experience you get, it is the ultimate experience.
That's awesome.
We're gonna have to go out there and check it out this year for
you
sure.
You have to. I'm telling you, it's in a league of its own.
How far away is it from Toledo, Trav? Like, what's the drive
It's
to stay at your place to get?
Yeah. It's a few hours.
Oh man,
Oof.
That's gonna be tough. All right.
So last year's Frozen 4 run really kind of put Penn State on the map for a lot of people. Like, what was that experience like, and how did it kind of change the vibe of the program and shape like how things are going, especially on the recruiting side?
Yeah, I mean, you got to give our players a ton of credit. For those who don't know the story, last year it was a wild start. So we actually started the year in Big Ten play 0-9, which some people don't know. So to get to the Frozen 4, it was just like my career, not a traditional path. So we were 0-9 to start. We were playing great hockey, and we just weren't getting the results. And we were doing it over and over. And we really liked, as a staff, we'd come into the office and we'd be like, we really liked our game tonight. And we just didn't win again. And we stayed true to what we were. And at Christmas, at Christmas time, we had some really hard talks, and we had the team had two options. You either roll over and fold, or you stay positive, you stay together, and you try to dig your way out of it. And because of our leadership group, Carson Dick specifically, Simon Mack, Danny Genev, Jimmy Dow Jr., like our captains and our senior leadership group, they actually ended up having meetings with every guy on the team on their own. They didn't tell the coaching staff before our first game after the holiday break. So they brought in every player on the team. They talked about what they needed to do to try and climb out of this. And we were like 42nd or 43rd in the pairwise at this point. So an at-large bid to the NCAA tournament, when you're 43 in the Big Ten Conference, like, it's hard to do because you're going to have to rattle off some wins against some really, really damn good teams, right? So they had their meetings, and after the break, we go to Wrigley Field. We play an outdoor game against Notre Dame, and we lose it had to be in a 10, 11, 12 round shootout. So just another punch in the gut. And luckily, that was a big trip for us. We were in Chicago. Saturday, we had a day off. We traveled to Notre Dame. And then Sunday, we got a second chance at them. And on Sunday, Arseny Sergeyev, our starting goalie, it was his second game back. He missed like about 6 to 8 weeks with injury. So he played the Wrigley game, and then we go to Notre Dame, and we end up winning that one 3-0. And he played a great game, and so did the team. And then we ended up, taking down some teams more regularly, and then you stack some wins against the Michigans, the Michigan States, which those wins are just, they lift you up. And then the players started to get some momentum, and we just kept climbing, not thinking too far ahead. And then next thing you know, we're going to Michigan for the first round of the playoffs, and we're kind of back in this thing. And the players knew, if they went to Michigan and they did their job, they would give themselves a chance at it. And we went to Michigan, and if you guys don't know, Brandon Hawkins, probably the best roller hockey player in the world, but I know a guy on our team who would like a shout out would be JJ Webush. He's a roller hockey guy, and he sees Hawk everywhere, and Hawk always messages me about him because the roller world. And JJ went through his legs in overtime for a hat trick from the goal line on night one, and ended up a Sports Center top play. So we win night one, and it's like the next night, if we sweep Michigan on the road, pairwise implications and how things work, we might really have a chance to get in. And we were lucky, played a hard opponent, a great team, and it was a well-fought game, and we ended up walking away with a win. And then we ended up losing to Ohio State the next week. So then we had to really wait for 2.5 weeks to see what our fate was. And because certain things happened and, how the pairwise works, we ended up getting in. And then you go to Allentown for the regional, and with our fans and all the people that were behind us there in Allentown, a special run to the Frozen Four, and fell short, but man, was it just an awesome experience.
That's great. I didn't know all the backstory on it. I have to selfishly admit to you, I'm a Michigan fan, so I hadn't paid that close attention, but I did pay attention that specific weekend, and that hurt. But I want to go back to that story of, the leadership core of that team holding those meetings on their own. Like, what was the coaching staff's reaction once they found out about that? Were you guys like taken aback? Like, wow, that's really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if we found out until after the season. I think one of the younger guys told us, I think in exit meetings, that's what happened. So we didn't even know. But it just shows you one of the most important things here at Penn State. Everybody says it, right? You want high character people, and I think this team that we had this year did go to the Frozen Four, but they made some of these decisions on their own as younger guys, and they didn't fold. And I give, with where the program's going, it's not just because we did X's and O's or something like that. It's a lot of the credit goes to the guys. They were fighters. They didn't give up. They didn't get negative or say what system we're doing isn't working, or what players are playing where aren't work. They just kept fighting as a group, and they proved that even when your back's against the wall, if you just keep throwing punches, you never know what can happen. And because of them, that's why the program is where it is now, in the new landscape with recruiting and with where we're headed, which, we hope to follow up that Frozen Four run with another very, very successful season.
It's awesome. Wow.
Yeah, and then you guys you carry the momentum in, and you land arguably the biggest fish available with the new rules and getting Gavin McKenna. And how huge is that for your program, getting an impact player like that?
Obviously, it's huge for a lot of different reasons. For recruiting purposes, to land, Gavin is a generational talent, or he is being deemed as that. So he has so much pressure on him already. But the big thing that even separated Gavin on his visit, he was just such a high character kid when he was here. So I'm really pumped not only about the player we're getting, but the person we're getting too. Every dinner, every meal, he takes his hat off. He says thank you. He shakes your hand. Such a very high quality person. So our guys are super excited to be playing with him, the player, but they were also really excited about the guy that they were getting off the ice, because they're getting a guy that they know is going to fit in the dressing room and really wants team success as much as, anybody else in our dressing room. So that was very important. What it's going to do for us in the future is, obviously, he is a very well-known name in the hockey community. And I think, in our short 15 years, I think some kids might have been afraid to pull trigger to come here. And I think Gavin's changed that now for a lot of kids. And I think it's not just Gavin, it's guys on our current roster as well. Like Charlie Serrato, third-year draft, he goes in the second round. Aiden Fink, he's been a front runner for the Hobie the last couple of years. We have so many players that are just playing at an exceptionally good level. But obviously when you land a generational talent like Gavin, he's going to help recruiting. But we're just so excited to have the person and the player. But really his character's off the charts, and I think he's going to fit in well here.
You mentioned the pressure that's already on him, obviously. How do you approach that as a coach he's still a kid. How do you approach walking him through that?
Yeah, I don't think you try to coach him too much in that. I think something that's so special about Gavin is everywhere he's played, he has risen to the occasion, no matter what the expectation is. And he's handled it so well from a young age all the way to here. We are just so excited to come here and let him be him. We want him to come here and we want him to use his brain. The way I can't even think the game as good as he can from behind a computer screen. He is so his brain just operates at such a high level, at such a fast pace as the game goes on around him. And I'm so excited to watch it live. So excited to work with him with, whatever he wants to work with. But you don't change guys like that, really. We want him to come here. We want him to feel comfortable, and we want him to play hockey the way he likes to play hockey. And I think when he does that, he's going to be exceptional to watch. And I think our fans are going to love him, and the guys on our current roster are going to love playing with him.
Such a good answer. And you look at the approach with it, you can see that's why guys like that would want to come there. That's so great. I love that.
The last question I have for you, Andrew, is so like college has been getting a lot bigger. College hockey's been getting a lot bigger. You're seeing like the Big Ten. We're fortunate to be able to live. Me and Brandon live in Michigan, and then Travis down in Ohio. So like Michigan State, the big rivalry there. Obviously, like I'm going to be driving out this year to see Penn State play against Michigan and Michigan State as well. Like there's a two-part question to this. Is like, you're getting these guys from junior. It's been able to open up for these guys to come over to college now. And then, like, how is that development going to be? Do you see things going to be changing on that end? And then also just like on the money side too. Like some of these things are getting like way out of whack for when they go to jump up to like the ECHL or the AHL or to the NHL. Like the money's got to continue to jump up, you would think, right?
Yeah, so for the first part, from the development side, I think so many players are going to be given extended routes now. So instead of jumping into the American Hockey League too early, which is a very hard league to play in, and then ending up in the East Coast League, you might have those extra years to come to college, play 40 games, and let's take a 6 foot or a 6'4" frame, whatever it is, who isn't fully developed. Now he gets 2, 3, 4 years to go play college, to play 40 games, to eat very good food, to train and work out a little bit longer during the season so you don't lose so much weight. And then next thing you know, you're back to where you were at the start of the last summer. So I think kids are going to really develop in college because of the extra time that they can spend in the weight room, which is very good for kids' development and for their careers. So, they don't just get pushed out of the American League right away, or if they're NHL guys, they don't just get sent down right away, and so on and so forth. Or so they're not, maybe they're 155-point guys in junior. They don't have to go back. They can take another step and play against some older guys. So I think from a development standpoint, it's really going to help the players a ton. And I think they're also going to learn things outside of hockey, like life skills, like time management and getting in the classroom, that are going to benefit them years down the line, which is also important. Obviously, we want every kid to go play 20, 25 years in the NHL, but no matter what, there's still a life after that. And I think college is going to teach them some of those things from a development and life standpoint. When you talk about the money, I think the one thing I would say is I don't think when kids are making college decisions that they're basing it on the money. And the reason why I say that, I think if you make your decision and you base it only on the money, you're making the wrong decision. It's the same thing in the NHL level. Like, you don't make your money in the NHL on your entry level contract. You make it on your second, your third, your fourth deal. And I think anybody who makes a decision based on money alone, it's a little bit irresponsible. So obviously, some of the numbers you read on the internet, don't believe everything you read on the internet. But what I do want to say is, I think if for any kids out there listening, I think you really want to make these decisions based on the university, the education, the leagues, the hockey, the way the people make you feel. Like, those are the important things when you get into this world. And I don't think the money is the end all be all, because like I said, the real money comes if you put the work in long enough that you get that second, third, fourth NHL contract. That's when you'll get paid.
I like that.
Put.
Yeah. Very well put. Well, that's all the questions we have for you, man. I just wanted to say thank you for taking the time to come out here and talk to us and just take this time out of your summer right now to even give us half these stories and the insight. I think I learned a lot just in this conversation. So I appreciate that. And I want to open the door up to you. Is there any story or anything that you felt like you needed to share when you came on here that we didn't touch on today?
No, I think I've taken enough digs at Hawk.
No,
There's room for a
can-
lot of those
there's
on this
still
show.
room.
You should see what he
I-
gives Nick every time he
Yeah.
sees Nick.
Yeah.
The only one I'll say is like, if you want real stories, you got to get like Thomas Ebbing on here from that Toledo team. Like he was one that hasn't been brought up. He's just top tier guy. Like he sat in the room and kind of just examined everything that was going on. He was at the back end of his career too. Good guy, great Michigan State guy. I played against him in college, and then the one story I do have on him, I played against him in college. So I was a bowling ball running around trying to kill him. And then when I got traded to Toledo, I met him in the parking lot with John Albert. First thing he says to me, not even like, "Hey, how you doing?" He just goes, "You're Sturtz, right?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "You lost a lot of weight." No, it was very similar to what I said to Albert. But then, he played his 300th game one day at the bank tank. He played his 300th game, and he always chirped me for how much water I drank because I was really hydrated all the time. So I drank, me and Patty McGrath, we drank 300 Fiji water bottles in 2 weeks, and then we filled his car with them after the game. So his whole car was just overfilled with water bottles. So he had to clean it all out before he got to leave the rink at like 11 o'clock at night. So that's one good story I have for you on Abs. He's, like I said, he's another one who's one of a kind. Him and Gordy Green, they are just, there's so many damn good guys that play in Toledo. I'm so happy you guys had me on. And I wish the best for the Fish, and obviously for Waddy and GR. He's a fantastic coach. He's a mentor. He's a guy I still lean on in the summertime, and you guys are so lucky to have him. And I have no doubt both teams will be winning championships soon.
And welcome back to just the three of us again. Boys, what a fun one. Thank you again, Andrew Sturtz, for coming on the show. I mean, that's kind of one where, when they go off to coaching, you don't know if you're going to be able to reel him back in to talk Toledo on our show. And he was more than willing, super excited to do it, but then also get to talk about Penn State and just how proud he is of that program. It was such a cool experience, even being a Michigan fan and remembering what they did to my team last year in the playoffs. So anyways, moving on from that, what was your guys' biggest takeaway from this one? I'll go to Travis first.
He's the same off the ice as he was on the ice. Like, he is full of energy. It was a vibe. Super awesome guy to talk to, and some funny stories. I think we got to get Thomas Ebbing somehow on the show.
Yeah, that's a must now.
And even Pat McGrath, from what it sounds like. We were towards the end, and if you watch the interview on YouTube, you'll see me go like this. And I didn't get time to ask him, but if you remember when we interviewed Hawk, I think it was in person last year. He brought up, it had to be. He brought up Murderer's Row in the locker room. And it was Sturtz, Ebbing. I forget who the two other guys were that retired from that team. But he's like, they were all retired, and we called it Murderer's Row.
I forgot all about that.
Yeah,
dang it.
I know. I was like, darn, I totally forgot. And then you see, like, if you watch it, you'll see me go like, oh yeah, I want to ask about that. And then all of a sudden it's like, we were done. And I was just like, shit.
That's fair. Nick, what about you, man?
So I'm big into college hockey, especially this season. So like for him to talk to us about Penn State and like the Gavin McKenna and just kind of like where it was going, because like that's been on my mind like this whole off season, was like how the money and everything is kind of playing into. So like that was like, how is that going to translate to the NHL, to the AHL? You see some of these guys with these big signings in the college ranks, and like how is that going to translate when it comes ready for them to move up to the AHL? It's not going to be as much money and things like that. So gaining that insight was huge for me, because when we started following Toledo, like it was right at the tail end of his season when he was done playing. So to kind of get the insight too, like in the beginning of the episode, we're talking about like his recruiting story and like how he got there, and then all of a sudden swerve and he goes to Orlando, and I was like, what happened here? Like we were such a good match, and then things got to change. So to get that insight, it was good. And like you said, him coming on, was just like seeing that mustache, seeing his smile. He was just like so excited to be on. I was like, this is gonna be a good one. Like I knew it was gonna be a good vibe right away.
Yeah, 100%. I think for me, because we're not a college hockey podcast. I'm not a Penn State fan. And so I don't know a lot of the guys there. And the obvious one you're going to bring up is Gavin McKenna, right? Everyone's talking that name, but you can just see the coach side of him where he reminded us quickly of all the other guys that are in that program and like how big that is for him to just continue to, make sure those guys get their glory. It's like, yeah, that's a darn good coach right there. And the story about their leadership, the players having their own meeting with the guys mid-season to turn things around there, that blew my mind, especially for them not to know it basically till the end. I mind blown by that. So yeah, cool stuff there.
Definitely something for us to keep like some tabs on, I guess, going into this year is like just Penn State and like trying to get down there is going to be a trek if we could do it. I mean, it's like a 2-day trip for us by that time. Cause I think it's what you said, 7 hours, 5 hours.
It's probably, I bet you it's close to 5 from here. I think it's an hour. I think it's it's an hour and a half from my grandpa's cabin, and that's about 3.5 from here. So you're all of 5 hours to Penn State from here.
Yeah, it'll be a trek to get over there, but at the same time, every time we have one of these guys on the show, that coach in college now, you're like, man, I got to go see a game that they're coaching now too. It's you just kind of you don't feel obligated. You want to after getting to experience and talk to them. So we'll maybe later in the season, definitely not something early or middle of the season. It would be a trip later in the season for me at least. Nick, I know you're looking at me like
I just think the weather's gonna be worse later on.
We've got a pro snow driver on this show down in Toledo there. He has the most experience ever, and you don't ask him about plow trucks that have gone off the road either. Trust us. Doesn't happen. He's never done it. Well, that's all we've got for this one, unless we want to talk real quick, Trav. I know Toledo did announce, the promotional nights for this season. I haven't got the chance to take a look at it yet with work, so if you've got it pulled up and want to chat about it, let's chat.
Yeah, so I mean, like the promotional thing is a big thing that they do every year, right? And you've got Military Appreciation Night, Eras Night, Walleye version, Youth Basketball Night, Zamboni Night. There's a Zamboni boat, gravy boat giveaway.
Is there going to be a Zamboni themed jersey?
I think so, because it's on the list, I'm pretty sure. Peanuts Christmas, Red Wings Affiliate Night again. They're celebrating Detroit's 100th anniversary and their 16th as their ECHL affiliate. So that'll be a big one to get to. It's on January 9th. And then Hockey Heritage Weekend. I'm sure there's going to be Hall of Fame induction that weekend because they've released the people that are eligible. Hooked on Fishing Night. Praying we get a Hooks jersey that weekend and a good one. Crayola Night. We love our fanatics. So, and then like, obviously there's a few more, like the returning theme nights is School Education Days, Hockey Fights Cancer, Teddy Bear Toss. Obviously that's a big one. Bonefish Night, which I would assume is like the players weekend.
Yep.
It's only one game though this year. Star Wars Night, Rock the Rink, Marvel Night, Her Hockey Night, Margaritaville Night, Faith and Family Night, Paws and Pucks, Kids and Mascots Takeover, and then another Fins and Feathers. So, specialty jerseys, they already have the list out. They are Military Appreciation, which was released today. The military jersey.
It looks sweet too.
Well, it's kind of a copy and paste of last year's, but the striping on the sides is a little different. I actually prefer this year's over last year. But
yeah.
I know some people were saying that they wish they would branch out into other forms of the military, which would be cool sometimes. Maybe that's
not a bad idea.
Maybe that's a down the road thing. Yeah, Navy,
Air Force, yeah. Space Force jersey, let's go.
Zamboni Night. So there is a Zamboni Night jersey on November 21st.
I need to see this.
Hockey Fights Cancer, and then Peanuts Christmas, Crayola Night. So there must be please make this jersey a crayon box.
I hope to God it's a crayon box.
Like an opened crayon box where you see all like the colors of the crayons across the top. That'd be phenomenal. Red Wings Affiliate Night. So I'm interested to see if they put their own twist on like what the Red Wings 100th anniversary, if they have that logo incorporated in any way, with it being like an affiliation night in their 100th year. Hockey Heritage Weekend. What's that look like? Are we getting like, obviously the last year was all I won. Do we maybe get like, if it's a heavy Gold Digger Hall of Fame, do we get a Gold Digger jersey? I doubt they would do another Storm because they're doing a Red Wings night. It's basically the same.
Or they could
things.
do like the Heritage Classic type jersey like they did this past year with the Kalamazoo series there.
Maybe it's the same jersey. Maybe they wear the same one again.
Or maybe it's more along the lines of what you hoped that jersey would be.
Yeah, maybe. They're doing Bonefish again. So we get another Bonefish jersey. And then the one that honestly I'm the most excited about, the We Love Our Fanatics, where it's got every season ticket holder on it in some fashion. So that's going to be interesting to see. Marvel Night, Margaritaville Night. These are all the jerseys again. And then Star Wars. And the last one is Hooked on Fishing Night. So that'll be interesting.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember a Star Wars jersey these past couple seasons.
They had one. I don't know if they had one last year, but the year before they did. Maybe they had Baby Yoda on it.
Oh, okay. I do remember that one. I was disappointed there was no Star Wars one last year. So,
and then
sorry, big Star Wars guy.
The craziness, the giveaways. You get magnet schedule on the home opener, military challenger coin for the military night.
Oh, that'll be cool.
And then they're doing a poster series. So like poster series 1 is November 9th. You get a bookmark. Looks like the Kids Day game is bookmarks. A mini basketball for that kids basketball weekend. And then like I think the one everybody's already got circled is the Zamboni gravy boat presented by Meyer on November 21st. That I didn't get any of the Red Wing ones. I definitely need this for Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the Friday before Thanksgiving that they're doing this, so it's like perfect timing.
Nice.
They're doing the turkey hat drop again on Black Friday. Poster Series 2 in December. A peanut blanket. It'll be interesting to see what that looks like.
Nick's a big Snoopy guy. He might want that.
Yeah.
Big Snoopy guy.
And maybe he'll come down for a Sunday game.
Could.
Walleye Mud Hens calendar. Poster Series 3, Mystery Era card pack. So I don't know if that's going to be like a. I'm assuming this has to do with Taylor Swift in some way. When you see Era, right? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know, stay tuned for our future big guest. I'm just kidding. She's not coming on the show.
Then the other big one, the Hockey Heritage Weekend, Brandon Hawkins back-to-back MVP bobblehead. I'm pretty sure there's people already in line for that. And I think there's one already on eBay for $1,000. So it checks out there. Poster Series 4, surprise Valentine's item, Margaritaville trucker hat, Poster Series 5, a kids item, and then a Poster Series 6. So a lot of posters this year.
A lot of stuff
like
this
that.
year.
Yeah, they don't fail, man. I mean, they've never failed to disappoint with giving stuff away, it feel like. But I think the big two we can all agree on are the Hawkins back-to-back MVP bobblehead and then the gravy boat. I think those are the two. I told my wife, I'm like, yeah, we're getting there early.
Yeah, there's people in line for them already, like you said. There's no way there's not. Oh, exciting stuff. Like you said, they don't miss. They do such a great job with it. Like, again, it's a well-oiled machine up and down the organization. Not just the players on the ice, but back office and the sales staff, and everybody just does such a great job. So this stuff's going to be sweet. I do want a gravy boat now, though. I do. The more I sit here and think about it in my head, I'm like, yeah, I need that. And I need to see what the Zamboni jersey is. I'm so curious.
Well, good thing there's a guy down here for that. Can always go get one for that. So
It's very true. He's usually pretty helpful.
Last year, had to get Nick a Bonefish jersey last year.
Yeah.
It's true. Be curious to see what that design looks like this year.
Let's hope it's not an Iowa Heartlanders remix.
Yeah.
They did
was
get a
so
lot of crap for
excited.
that.
I was so excited to get that jersey, and then I found out it was an Iowa one. I was like, oh, interesting. Okay.
And like Travis said, he hopes there's a Hooks jersey. So
Yeah, Hooks jersey would be sick.
It's their best logo, man. Like, it is their best logo, undoubtedly.
they're not the
their best
Toledo
logo.
Hooks, Travis. They're the Toledo Walleye.
I get that, but it makes a W. It's just, it sells itself. Like, come on.
Okay. I'll let you have that one.
I never thought about the W.
Neither did I. That's why I'm letting them have it. Anyways, we'll wrap this episode up. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in again. Thank you to Andrew Sturtz as well for coming on the show. Stay tuned. We have more Toledo interviews coming up, as well as more Grand Rapids interviews coming your way, too. Every week, basically, probably through the rest of this off season, there'll be some guest on the show in some format. So if you like interviews, you like hearing from people that currently play for the team, used to play for the team, maybe currently on staff for some of the teams. Hint, hint. Stay tuned for future episodes. But with that, we'll wrap it up. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to our sponsors of the show, of course, Everything Hockey Clothing Company. When you're shopping at everythinghockey.com, use code WEST, save a few bucks off your order, and it also supports the show. And we've got to thank our Patreon subscribers as well. Even though our Patreon is free right now, we still have to thank everyone for subscribing over there. And if you didn't know, it is free for the rest of the summer here, and it's been free all summer. See what content we're giving you over there. Bonus episodes, unedited episodes, exclusive content. We'll be running giveaways throughout the regular season on there as well. So head over to patreon.com/Hockeytown West Podcast to join all the other subscribers who are currently.
We've got D-Boss's D-Boss, who just joined. We got Hey Bay Ted, Joe Schroeder, listening to Ride Hannah in the shower, F50 Alex, Tyler Eagles, Regan Baker, Claire Boughton, Dan Heaton, John of Florida, Mike Lizicano, Elaine Grace, Griffin, Randy Zick, Derek Sleazer, Lori, and Alan Foch. That's it.
Yeah, you made it through the list. Good job, buddy. Thank you all for the love and support over there. Like we said, we'll be bringing you guys more stuff over there. We switched recording software, so the unedited episode stuff has been an adjustment for us. We'll get back to that regularly here pretty soon, but we're learning the software, but it's significantly higher quality video and audio for you guys. We're very happy with what we've got so far. We just got to learn some more back end stuff, and you'll see a lot more stuff come out there. But until then, we'll just have to deal with what we have on there. I'm sorry, but it'll be there soon. We promise. All right, boys, that's it. That's all we've got. Thanks again, everyone. We'll talk to you soon. But until then, as always, go Griffins, go Walleye.
Love you. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Hockeytown West podcast. Be sure to check us out on Twitter at HockeytownWPod and your host, Nick at GR Hockey Guy and Brandon at BrandonGR Hockey.